Well, good morning. Today is Monday, December the 5th, and my name is Mark Daniels. And I thought I would start a series of various videos that will detail my life as a Uber driver. I actually drive for Uber full time. I've been with Uber for over a year now. And I remember when I first started, um, I didn't really know quite what to do. I didn't know much about the company or the culture, what the expectations were of being an Uber driver. I had a lot of questions. Um, I know at that time there were a few videos out there from people from different parts of the United States, and they've been wonderful in sharing their personal experiences, their honest feedback as far as what they've experienced with Uber. So that helped me uh, become more comfortable, I think, as far as being an Uber driver. Um, there's a lot of great resources out there. There's a lot of great blogs, and what I'll do is, in this particular video series that I'll do, I'll put the links up below my page so that way you can have easy access to them. The purpose of this particular channel is to provide a different insight, a different perspective as far as the life of an Uber driver from a place different from, say, New York or Los Angeles, or a place that's, very, very, very busy. I live in Michigan. I live in the suburbs. I'm about uh, I'd say 25 minutes west of Detroit. And I'm close to Ann Arbor. I'd say actually I'm about maybe perhaps uh, 20 minutes east of Ann Arbor. So I'm really in the suburbs. Um, for the most part, I myself, I drive in the suburbs. I'll drive, if you have a familiarization with Plymouth, um, I'm sort of in the center. I live in Plymouth, so I drive in Plymouth, Novi, Northville, Livonia, Westland. They're areas that have shopping malls, bars, maybe not so many nightclubs like you would find, say, Ann Arbor, Royal Oak, Detroit. Um, but I stay busy. I would say that I have a unique niche. Um, I'm not far from Metro Airport. I do actually also work, or I'll park at Metro Airport and I'll accept rides there. I actually take people to Metro Airport as well. So, my whole point and purpose of this channel is to give you a perspective from just an everyday Uber driver. This is what I do for my living. I don't work for any other rideshare company, although I have nothing bad to say about any company. I certainly think that there's room for everybody, but I'd rather stick with Uber. Because that way I don't have any difficulties as far as adapting to the culture, the changes in the app, and so forth, and it just makes it easier for me to just stay with one company, focus on one company, so that way it's more easy for me to adapt to the changes that do come. The topics that I hope to cover, I hope to share some of my experiences as far as what I've learned when I first started. I started part time as an Uber driver to get comfortable, as far as driving for Uber. Um, so I was really nervous. I didn't really have anybody to talk to. While I watched the other channels, I didn't reach out to any of the people that did provide their feedback. Because I didn't know if really they'd be able to relate to my particular situation living in the suburbs. So I read some blogs and so forth, and then just pretty much put myself out there, put myself on the road. But just like you'll probably hear if you're new, if you haven't started yet, or maybe if you've started with Uber, but it's a slow process as far as getting comfortable. It is true when you get that first ping, and you're like, should I press it? Shouldn't I not? Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe this isn't the one. Then you wait until you boost yourself up. So I went through that kind of fear. I wouldn't say it's a fear because I'm pretty outgoing, but once I felt comfortable enough, then I pressed it, and then that began my journey. Um, so I'll go over some of the mistakes that I made when I first started out. I'll provide some advice as far as from my own perspective, as far as what worked well for me. What's allowed me to become comfortable driving full time for Uber. I actually enjoy it, and I'll be explaining the reasons why I enjoy driving for Uber. Um, and hopefully, as I go forward in this video series, I'll be able to share some things that maybe even some current Uber drivers can relate to. um, I could tell you that when I do drive, every once in a while I do get another Uber driver that also uses the service, so we'll have a conversation, and they'll share a lot of things that, some doubts or reservations that they have. So I found that there's a lot of people out there that just don't really have anybody really to bounce thoughts or ideas that works in a suburb, and it's not like in a place like, say, LA, where you're just constantly going and you can actually do so many amazing things with Uber that, right now here in, say, Michigan, we can't do that. We don't have a lot of the services other than just Uber. We don't even have the rideshare option. Uh, so, which is, like I said, everybody has their own opinion about that. I certainly can't say anything pro or con towards that because I've not had any experience with that. Haven't had experience with Uber Eats, so I really can't provide any honest feedback on that other than what you might see from other channels. Um, so other from that, I'll try to share some topics that I hope will be relevant to anybody that's just starting out with Uber, or maybe people that are driving it part-time are looking to see if it would be advantageous to do it full-time. I will be looking at the feedback and the questions below. I thought about, the difference between responding directly to anybody that is kind enough to provide their feedback, or ask me a question. But I thought it might be even better that if you do provide me feedback or questions, you know, I'll gather it and then I'll talk about it. I'll share with everybody because it's like they always say, and it's really true. If you have feedback or you have a question, and you ask it, you never know. It could be something that someone else is thinking about. And maybe that conversation that you and I have, if I give you an answer, it might trigger something else in someone else's mind. They're like, I'm glad they asked that question. I'm glad Mark answered it, but, maybe Mark could have answered a little more, or maybe I wish, a little bit more could have been developed from that particular conversation. So my hope is that I'll talk about any of the feedback or questions that I receive on this channel, so that way I hope we can all learn. I will never claim to be an expert. There's a lot of great resources out there that keep up with current news with Uber, even Uber itself. You can go directly, to their site and see what's going on, get their perspective on things. Of course, there's a lot of great resources out there where people really dig in deep. Um, to provide relevant information and feedback that I feel is valuable for anyone that drives for Uber, part time or full time. So other from that, I really hope that you'll enjoy my series, and as I detail my life as an Uber driver, I'll share some of the feedback that I've received from riders, positive and negative. I think that will it helps me. And when I get feedback from riders that have actually used Uber in Michigan for 3 years, they'll share with me the great experiences. They've told me why they use Uber, why they love Uber, how they feel Uber has made a difference in their life, and they're really passionate about it here. Because to give you an idea, in Michigan we don't have mass transportation like you'll find in, say, New York, Chicago, LA. We don't have mass transit. So I mean, we have a bus line in Detroit. That's kind of shaky. Ann Arbor has a bus line, but we don't have the rail system that you'll find in, say, Chicago or subways in New York and taxis on every corner, say in New York or LA. So with that being said, we have a different type of environment here. So I really hope that I can provide perspective on that and feedback as far as the type of environment that I drive in here in Michigan. And other from that, I'll put links up at the bottom of my page. So if you're really seriously considering about driving for Uber, by all means, click on the link below. Use the referral code. You're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to share with you my experiences and do everything I can to provide my opinion as far as what's worked well for me. So that way, hopefully, um, everybody can be as successful as they possibly can be. Um, One last thing that I'll leave you with, which I think is really important, especially if you're considering about driving for Uber or you're driving for Uber and it's not really may not be working out the way you want it to or whatever. Um, a lot of people ask me when they're riding with me, Mark, what does it take to be an Uber driver? It's a common question. How do you do it? What what makes you enjoy doing this? Um, Two things that I learned, and even the manager at my last job, I was a manager, and I left my career to do this. And the owner of the company, he pulled me into the office and he sat down with me and he said, "You know what, Mark, I don't normally say this to people." He says, "But I understand what you're doing." And he says, two pieces of advice I can give you is, number one, if you're going to do this, you can't treat it just as an owner of your business, because you are. This is your business. Um, and he says, but you can't just consider it just as being the owner, because you might become lazy. You might wake up on Monday and feel, you know what, I don't feel good. But you know what? I'm the owner of my business. I can wait till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or noon, and you can put it off. And he says you can't have that mindset. You have to have the mindset of you're the owner of your business and you're also the employee, which means if you need to be out there at 8 in the morning, if you set a schedule for yourself, you be there. You be there at 8 in the morning. You work till 5 or 5:30 or until you've hit your financial goal, before you stop. So you have to treat it as an owner and as an employee. And he even told me, he says, "Mark, where am I on a Sunday morning?" I said, "Well, sir, you're here." He goes, "That's right." He goes, "Do I really need to be here?" I go, "Well, you do fairly well." He goes, "Yes, but do I need to be here?" I go, "Well, it is your business." He said, "That's right. If I'm going to make my business a success, if I'm going to reach my goals, I have to work hard. And when you become lazy and you stop putting in the effort, and if you lose that discipline, you'll never reach whatever goal that you have for yourself." Uh, so my advice is, be disciplined in holding yourself accountable and putting in the effort to hit your financial goals. Um, Even if you're sick, you're not feeling good, or you've got something going on in your life, treat this as an employee. If you're an employee, I have to go into work, otherwise I got to call off, and but then you don't get paid. So stay disciplined and care. You really have to care about your passengers, and I'll touch on that later on in this series. I think, my personal opinion, if you don't care about the people that you drive, um, because I'm here to tell you, over the last year, I realized you don't just necessarily take somebody from point A to point B. There's a lot of people that just need somebody to talk to, or so many people tell me because of circumstances in their life that, if it wasn't for Uber, they wouldn't be able to work. They wouldn't be able to have their independence. And when they first start telling you that, you're like, okay. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's awkward, but it's not something I was used to hearing. And then I understood it, especially as people shared with me their stories. And if when people open up to you, it takes you back, and you realize at the end of the day, sometimes you made a difference in somebody's life. Granted, you got paid for it, but you made a difference in somebody's life. And this is something, and I'm not trying to be cheesy, but if you care, you'll understand what I'm talking about, that you add value to people's lives and you can actually make a difference. Um, So I'll share some of those experiences with you. I'll share some of the things that riders feel that makes them disappointed when they have an experience with a driver and it doesn't go well. I'll share with you the things that riders have shared with me that they don't like. Um, yeah, but for the most part, I can say that most of the experiences riders have had with Uber drivers have been amazing, and they don't know what they did without Uber or the people that drive for Uber. Like I said, I'll put some links up down below. If you want to click on the referral code, if you want to drive for Uber, I'll also put up some links of some resources that I myself have used that have been very valuable and provided a lot of information to help me make the transition from being an Uber, working for Uber part-time to finally going full-time with this. So welcome to my series. I am open to any feedback or questions anyone may have. And other from that, make it a great day.